All right, welcome into Bay Oval for the Bay of Plenty Cricket Premier T20 final. News here from the Bay Oval is that Green have won the toss and they've elected to bat first. Be Taylor Bettelheim and Tom McCurry to open the batting for Greedon, and looks like Chris Atkinson to open the bowling for the Mount. I'm alongside Dave Johnson here. Dave, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, Kyle.
Beautiful evening for cricket here.
Yeah, it is. It's a cracking day, and it should be a nice evening. Conditions won't change too much, I wouldn't think, and interesting decision of Greaton to bat first. Dew may be a factor a little bit later, but I guess they think runs on the board in a final are always pretty important. So it's no doubt Mount will be Greaton will be looking to take advantage of the power play and score runs early.
Yeah. Obviously, the oval here looks an absolute picture. The wicket looked good. We got a good close-up look early. What were your thoughts there?
Yeah, well grassed wicket. It's a wicket that's been reused, but it's early in the season, which is some time back now when this was used, and it's come back well. It's really hard, and I'm sure there'll be pace and carry throughout the innings. I don't imagine it's going to change too much.
So Chris Atkinson here to bowl the first ball for Mount Maunganui. He's just rolling his arm over to the mid-off fielder there. He's got a left-hander to bowl to. He's a left armer himself, so he'll look to use any swing there is with that white ball early on. They've got a first slip in play, more of a second slip actually, so hoping for some swing there.
Yeah, interesting field. Particularly having someone straight away down at long on, which is interesting. So the two players out are one at square leg and one right down at long on. Expecting McCreary to go fairly early, I'd imagine.
Just how important will the power play be here for Greedon? I mean, big oval obviously, quick outfield. They're going to look to try and put as many runs early on the board as they can before that restriction's over.
Yeah, I'd say so. It'll be interesting to see. Mount have got a very well balanced attack. They've got a couple of good spinners and a number of good medium paces. So it won't be an easy nut to crack for Greaton, but if they get off to a good start, that will set them up for those middle stages in the final flurry. I imagine wickets in hand are important as well. T20 is no different to any other game in that if you pick up wickets, it certainly does slow things down. We got a screen here showing.
Right, we look just about ready to go here. Looks like the umpires are going to wait for the clock to tick over to 6 o'clock. 1 minute 2 at the moment. Don't often see cricketers being so punctual, Dave, but they're being punished at the moment for it.
That's right, yes.
I think Chris Atkinson's just about bowled his 4 overs to the mid-off fielder here, Dave.
He has.
It's
He
a long warm-up.
might be exhausted by the time he gets to start.
Right, here we are. We've ticked over 6 o'clock. Left armer Chris Atkinson with ball in hand, top of his mark, bounding in. First one's full and negotiate into that gap at square leg for one. McCurry off the mark. Did that one swing, Dave?
It was reasonably full ball. I don't know that it did actually. It was quite full, and McCreary just worked it slowly around onto the leg side where there's a big space. Good way to get underway for a batsman, just to get one early on that you can push for one.
Right, so now it's the right-hander on strike, and they've got a long on and a deep square in place, so perhaps looking to bowl quite straight and full. The man at mid-wicket is cutting off a single there. Atkinson bounds in again. Has him defending on the crease. Quick single taken. Good running from the Greedon batsman. Off the mark is Bettelheim. That one looked to go fairly straight too, Dave.
Yeah, that was didn't move at all really in the air, did it? And it was good judgment by the batsman. There's another run there, and immediately the pressure goes back onto the fielding side. 2 singles off the first 2 balls, and good awareness by Greaton, just utilising the gaps that are in the field.
Atkinson in again. It's a lofted shot. In the air and caught. Matt Golding, the catcher. That's a big wicket for Mount Maunganui first start. Really big scalp. Just looked early through the shot, Dave.
Yeah, I think it might have been a slightly slower ball by Atkinson that time, and McCreary was through the shot. And while initially it looked like he made reasonable contact, it became very clear as Golding came in and took a very simple catch at mid-off. So that's huge for the Mount. One of the key players, particularly in the short form of the game, Tom McCreary, has been great form again this year, and has played at a higher level when down at Canterbury in the last few years. So that's pretty big to think that they've picked him off in the first over. So Mount will be very happy with that.
Yeah, almost a dream start. I was just about to touch on how disappointed the Mount would have been that it wasn't swinging and what adjustments they could make. Just wonder if was that a slower ball? You think he's just been
Yeah, I think it was. I think he just ran his fingers across it.
No, it's well bowled. In comes Nick Hendry now for Greedon. He's not a bad player himself, Dave.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. He's an NDA player. Works in the Poverty Bay region, so but plays his club cricket up here. So he's now eligible to play for Bale Plenty as well, and he's a very good prospect. He's been around a little bit. Originally came out of Auckland, I think, and he's more than useful number 3. He often opens at a high level, so he's another one that the Mount will be after.
Atkinson in now. This one's wider. Slash outside off from the batsman. Umpire signalling a no ball there, so this will be a free hit.
It's a crime in any game of cricket, but particularly T20 where you get a free hit. You're not really wanting to give the batsman the opportunity to suddenly have another sighter without any risk. So Bettelheim has the opportunity here to take advantage of the front foot no ball.
Atkinson in full wide of the crease. Just bunted to the mid-off region for a single. Pretty good result there for the Mount.
Yeah, good response from Atkinson. He bowled it full and wide of the crease. Well inside the wide line, but quite wide. And Bettelheim can only get a single one. So Hendry back in strike for the first time now, so it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to the game situation. As we said, he's a big-time player. He's played at a number of levels above this, and he's a pretty key player for Gretton.
And Atkinson now. It's bowling, it's full, it's driven just behind point, outside half of the bat for a single. It's great fielding from Musgrave there. Great energy.
Yeah, the Mount are pretty excited about the first over, aren't they, Kyle? They off to the start that they would certainly want. They've picked up an early wicket. They've gone for 5 runs, but it's all been singles along the line plus a no ball, so it's a good start from the Mount.
Atkinson in, hits him on the pad. Umpire not too interested at all. It's into the over. Greeton 5 for 1 off the first set. Yeah, it's a good point you make there, Dave. We were there at the toss, and Ben Pamari, the Mount captain, actually he wasn't too disappointed with the result of the toss. He thought that if they bowled well in the power play, that they'd be in with a really big sniff of restricting Greeton to a fairly par or even under par total. So I think they'll be happy with that start, and if they can nick another one out of here in the power play, be even better.
I guess we sort of wonder what a par score out here will be tonight. It's a big ground, as we know. We've did some measurements of the boundaries, which I'll talk about shortly, but it's the wicket is over on the Saltworks side, which means that the boundaries are right over to the picket fence on that side, a little bit in on the left hand side, but there's plenty of spaces when you start looking to place runs around the field. So this ground always produces runs for good cricket shots, so actually hitting along the ground is almost a better result than hitting in the air, and there's plenty of gaps to put that ball in. There should be lots of twos and threes on a ground like this.
We talk about matchups here, Dave, and here's quite a big one. The ex-ND fast bowler Tony Gooden into Nick Hendry now, so perhaps another ploy from Mount Maunganui to try and get one early here. Gooden's in, it's back of length and cut away out to that deep sweeper on the offside for a single.
Wouldn't it surprise me to actually have seen the Mount open with one of their 3 spinners, because they do have a well balanced side. They have 2 Craig Baldry, very good promising off spinner. They have Pete Drysdale, who bowls pretty good off spin, and Dale Swan, who bowls left arm ortho. So they've got 3 options here, and plus 4 mediums. So they've got a few options, haven't they?
It's good in bowls. It's full, bunted down the ground. Well, they're going to get 2 off a misfield here. Just made contact with the body and ricocheted out to where mid-off would have been, but he'd obviously run in to try and cut off that single as well. Something we talk about when being put under pressure with the bat, Dave, isn't it? Just still trying to rotate the strike and not accumulate dot balls and add extra pressure that way.
Yeah, it is. It's rotating the strikes, everything in this game.
Got an in, driven to cover for a dot ball.
It's a way that you can develop momentum in the game by just rotating the strike, and suddenly the bowlers, particularly when there's left and right hander together, means that the bowler has to keep readjusting his line, and before you know it, it's not quite as easy as it sounds to keep readjusting left and right hander. So before you know it, you start losing your line and you get putting away to the boundary.
This one's full from Gooden, hasn't got any of it as Bettelheim, and it's just been put to cover. It's a good start from Gooden. It's a nice heavy length, isn't it? He is encouraging the front foot shots, but just that extra yard of pace looks to be unsettling Bettelheim a bit.
Yeah, both times he tried, even the one he scored 2 down the ground, he didn't quite time it, and then he's hit the ball twice hard into the ground, and it covers straight to cover.
Look at a slow ball this time, straight to cover again, so it'll be another dot ball. Looks like Craig Baldry there at cover doing an excellent job.
Yeah, he moved quickly, didn't he? And looks a good athlete, young Craig. He's studies at Otago during the year, and he's back here now, playing his club cricket here, as he does the last few years. He's a very promising off spinner.
Good at the top of his mark. He's in. Looks like another change of pace there from Gooden, almost a Yorker length. They jog through for a single in the end. Into the over, Greta 9 for 1 off 2.
It's a very good over from Tony Gooden, showing all his experience. I think he did change ups 2 or 3 times in that over. But certainly after 2, Mount would be pretty happy with Greton's position. 9 for 1. Like all games of cricket, and T20s in particular like this, that you end up having in your mind what you think a good score will be, and then you potentially start readjusting depending how the game unfolds. And I would have thought that Greton would have been looking for 160, 180 initially, and I personally think that's about par on this ground.
Atkinson's in. It's Yorker length again, a little bit wider, and Bettelheim slashes to no success. It goes through to Ben Pamari's gloves.
It's well bowled by Atkinson.
We see on our screen here the Mount supporters. Looks like a little barbecue set up there, Dave.
Yeah, they're starting to roll in.
Yeah, just a lovely evening here at Bay Oval. I mean, Mount Maunganui is great at the best of times, but when you're playing grassroots cricket at a time of day like this, you can't beat it. Atkinson in, full in on the pads. Flicked out to mid-wicket for no run. Bowl quite full, the Mount bowlers. Haven't seen a change of length really here.
No, they've bowled full, and they've just changed the pace a bit, but they haven't actually bowled back too much back of a length, and I kind of sense the Greton guys have been trying to go at it and just not really timing it.
Advances, and it's a nick down to third man. Just be a single by the looks. Oh, throw comes in. He's come back for 2. Good running actually from Greton that.
That's what I was saying about that ball was about probably 10 metres to the left of the third man, but by the time he got round, it's a big ground, and by the time he got round and turn and then throw, and that area out there is about 75, 77 metres, and to get it into the keeper was always one on the throw. So That's good running by Gooden.
Atkinson's in again. It's full. It's driven through cover point. Don't know if it's going to have quite the legs to get to the boundary out there. It's a great chase from Drysdale and Baldry. Yeah, it's a great return throw. Just another 2 there. But it's a good shot from Bettelheim.
Yeah, it's going to be a good challenge for young Bettelheim. He's a very promising opener, and we know he can bat a long period of time, and he's technically very sound, and it's a good challenge for him to be placed in a situation where he actually has to play shots a little bit more. And he doesn't need to lose the technical ability he has to play these sorts of shots. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't try and thrash it, which I think he's probably just trying a little bit much to do at the moment.
It's full, straight to cover along the carpet. Dot ball against Baldry, again doing the fielding. He's had a lot of work in that cover region so far.
He's everywhere, isn't he? He's for those who don't know, Craig actually does a bit of work here at the ground, and so he probably knows 1 or 2 bits of the blade of that grass out there. He knows exactly where it is, so it seems to be following him at the moment, doesn't it?
Oh, it's a great delivery. Perhaps another change of pace. Just looked to stick in the wicket a bit, that one.
Yeah, I think it was a slower ball. I think he rolled his hands over it again, and so another good over for the Mount. Only 4 runs off that over, so well bowled Chris Atkinson, and be interesting to see if they continue with Tony Gooden at the phone. I think Ben Palmieri, the Mount captain's thinking we've got a good clamp on this at the moment, so little need to change what we're doing, and another wicket would be what they're seeking. Just about worked our way. We're halfway through the power play now.
Yeah, Greedon at 13 for 1. And there's a play and miss. Seriously good rock there from Tony Gooden. Just going to say there, Dave. Greedon at 13 for 1. I think the Mount will be pretty happy with that start. Obviously a big wicket of McCurry to start. Great dots in one since. Haven't really had many or none to go to the boundary so far.
No, there hasn't been a 4 scored. Gooden ran in a little bit quicker that time and bent his back on that one. Had good pace and carry through the keeper, and Henry played a false shot and was lucky not to get an edge.
Oh, it's almost a carbon copy, isn't it?
It is a carbon copy, and once again, good pace and carry. The Mount are bowling outstanding links at the moment.
I know the Mount work on the philosophy of creating, especially because they've got a fantastic spin attack, but even with their seam bowlers, creating dot balls and building pressure that way, they're not a sort of team that's going to blast anyone out, so they've got to try create wickets through pressure, and these dot balls here are doing a fantastic job towards that. Full driven straight to cover, that man Baldry once again. Greedon doing a great job just keeping their head here. They know there's a lot of time to bat. It is only 20 overs, but 20 overs is a long time equally.
Yeah, you kind of sense something's going to give shortly, like we're into the 4th over and just a little bit of pressure back on Greedon now.
Gooden's in again. It's straighter this time. Another dot out to the onside. Great dot balls these. Obviously, the Mount playing Greedon in the final last year, so rematch of that game. The Mount coming out on top that time, but these two teams in club cricket the last 5 years have been two of the form teams, haven't they, Dave?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they it's probably a fitting final. It's a fitting final that these guys are the ones that are playing, because they are probably the 2 form teams of the region, without doubt.
Flicked off the pad to mid-on from Hendry. Just be the one. It's a good piece of running.
Yeah, but messy from the Mount there. They fielded it mid-on, picked it up, but didn't really fire a very good return to the skipper, and he dived away. But luckily there was a man backing up.
Gooden will look to have another dot ball to finish the over here. It's been a fantastic one so far, just the single off. Driven, looked like a change of pace, straight to point again. So another dot ball, fantastic dot ball pressure from the Mount. Greedon 14 for 1 off 4 overs. It's a fantastic set that from Gooden. Just the one offer. He's none for 5 off his 2 overs. Economy of 2.5 there, so.
Yeah, outstanding over that was from Tony Gooden. Bowls back of a length. For those who know Tony, he's a shoulder bowler, runs in and hits the crease quite quickly, and bowls back of a length. And in cricket terms, they talk about bowling a heavy ball, and he certainly does that. And it's going to be a change of bowler at the C end, and I think it's Dom Crombie, is it?
Dom Crombie for sure. He's had a breakthrough season really. He's kind of got his chance for the Bay and has been bowling some. He's been bowling. I think first change, but most of his bowling's been first change for the Bay, so he's come a long way since the first time I met him as a young 13-year-old, Dave.
Yeah, I remember seeing him as a batsman primarily some years ago, and he's now turned into a genuine all-rounder. He'll be looking to make a start and bowl on those channels again.
His first delivery is just a standard length, and it's driven on the up to cover for 1. Another good piece of running from Hendry and Bettelheim there.
Once again, he didn't time that, just almost inside edged a little bit, but got it into the cover region, and there was a comfortable one. Good awareness by the batsman, but good start by Crombie.
So length ball, edge down to third man. They might get a couple here. It's gone very fine. Tony Gooden, the man there doing the fielding. No, sorry, it's Dale Swan. Fantastic effort down there. Got back for 3 though.
There's a lovely shot by Bettelheim. He just opened the face and just ran it down past the keeper. Well wide of the keeper, never a chance, and was pretty much along the ground. But and Swan did very well to get around. Not the youngest member of the Mount team, Dale Swan, but did well to get round and save 1 run with a nice dive at the end.
So Crombie's in again. Similar length, and it's driven to the edge of the ring for a dot ball. That man, Ben Musgrave, at backward point. He's probably one of the best fielders going around.
Crombie would be happy with his start. He's put the ball in nice places.
It's on his back of a length. Just dabbed straight to a gully there. Tony Gooden, the man doing the fielding, just got behind that one and stopped it. He's a big man, so if he gets him behind it generally doesn't go through.
Interesting field setting that. The gully is one fielder in that region, it's the gully, and then the third man's almost directly behind him, just slightly to the side. And so if the left-hander Hendry was able to get the ball fine of the gully, then there's probably 4 runs on it every time. So he'll be disappointed that he's hit the fielder 2 or 3 times in a row. And if he looks up on the board, he's battling to get underway. He scored 4 runs off 11 balls, so he'll be looking to try and force it.
Crombie's in again. It's a thick outside edge to backward point. They'll scamper through for a single. Ben Musgrave doing the fielding there. It's into the over. Greerton 19 for 1 off 5. So excellent start here from the Mount as we see a drink being run out to the boys.
It's a hot game, cricket these days, Kyle. It's very important that you keep hydrated.
12th man Ben Lind out there actually. It's a Greerton stalwart from way back.
And we now see the first of the spin options coming in with Craig Baldry. We talked a little bit about him. He's made a bit of a breakthrough this year as well by being one of the 2 main spinners picked in the Bayside. He just completed a part of the Bale Plenty victory against Hamilton a few weeks back. He bowled 25 overs in an innings, along with Tim Pringle. They managed to bowl the team to victory. So he's a very good one-day bowler, Craig. He gives them very little to bowl at, to go after, does he?
We've seen him open the bowling, not just for the Mount, but for the Bay of Plenty team in T20 matches. So perhaps a little bit of a different role for him here, but I'm sure it'll be even easier with the extra fielders out. So he starts targeting that pad of Hendry. A little bit quicker through the air, and it's just hit straight to that mid-wicket in place there. So fielders out here are long on. And deep mid wicket, last over the power play actually, so he still has only his 2 out. Oh, beautiful drift on that one, Dave. He really does put some work on the ball.
Yeah, it's a nice start by Craig. He's getting through his action nicely and not being afraid to give it a bit of flight, trying to draw Henry forward.
Defended into cover there. Another dot ball. You see the Mount fielders, they're not on the ring here. A few of them are just cutting off that single inside the ring, and I think what they're doing there is Ben Murray, the captain's asking the batsman here to hit through the ring, and try and force perhaps a shot just going a little bit harder. This one's slower through the air, and it's hit to that mid wicket again. Matt Golding doing the fielding. So 4 dots to start here. I think Baldry will be fairly happy with that.
Very, very good start by Craig Baldry. He's and he loves the battle, Craig. He loves being in the fight, doesn't he? He's
just back of a length. That one missed his line. Got through to a single. Was the man on the 45 up in the ring there does the fielding, Chris Atkinson. So just 1 off 5 here, and if we can get away with another dot ball, he'll be fairly happy with the start.
That's a good start by Craig. I expect him to still continue to come around the wicket. Actually, he's likes to bowl to right-handers around the wicket, and he's likes to slide it into that pad.
Yeah, he is coming around, and it's back of length, shorter, playing a miss. Over bowled 20 for 1 off 6 overs of Greedon. Going at 3.3 in the power play, Dave.
Yeah, Mount are very, very happy with that. It's fantastic start for them. It's sort of the unknown, isn't it, when you start a game of cricket? You're never quite sure what's going to happen, but they've got away to a very good start. Just got a message. It's got a message from James Pammett, local Tauranga legend, who's over with the Mumbai Indians preparing for the IPL. And just hi to you, James. Nice to hear from you. Thanks for the nice compliments about the coverage thus far. No doubt we got a little bit of opposition with the India England series underway as well, but thanks for tuning in. And to anybody else out there, thanks for being part of this.
Crombie's in again there. Produces an outside edge off Hendry's bat just to that third man fielder for a single. Another good start. He's pretty consistent in his length here, Dave. Hasn't really tried too much.
No, he isn't. And he's not running in and trying to bowl too quick. He's just putting it in the spot, and he's asking some questions. So both these batsmen, I would suggest the pressure's building. Shall we just say that it's becoming a little bit harder for them mentally to be able to go after the bowling, because they know they've used a few balls up now.
Oh, out if he hit there. Good arm from Gooden, but not quite on target. Almost a rash single there, and perhaps that's a product of the slow start from Greedon.
Yeah, it is. You can see the pressure building, and you kind of sense something was going to happen, and it wasn't a great shot by Bettelheim. He was just back of a length, and he tried to pull it, and he ended up a pretty ungainly sort of a heave really, and then ended up nearly being run out.
Crombie's into Hendry and crest it down to mid-off, who was placed on the ring for a single.
And not only was it an ungainly shot, but it was a poor choice of a single, and he actually gave up, and he would have been 3 or 4 metres shy of the wickets if the throw had hit. And ball did. Crombie didn't quite have time to get back to the stumps.
Change of pace here from Crombie, and it's well dug out from Bettelheim. Dave, you just wonder if Greedon have another 5-10 minutes of this sort of run rate, this could be a match losing period.
Yeah, I guess it's runs on the board. You're never really sure, but certainly they need to push things along. 20 overs is longer than you think, so I guess they would back themselves to adjust and then make a decision based on maybe 10 or 12 overs and what their target is, and that may keep changing depending on how successful they are.
Another play and a miss there from Bettelheim. Looks like a pretty good delivery from Crombie there.
It certainly was. He played and missed and almost through the gate and went straight over the top of middle stump almost.
As Crombie bounds into the crease again. This one's full. It's dug out from Bettelheim. Yes, no. Sorry was the call, and it's again, if it hits, it's out. He's been busy in there, is Gooden. It's the end of the over, 23 for 1 off 7.
And once again, that running was caused by outstandingly good lines of the bowlers and some very effective and efficient fielding. So certainly the first 7 overs are just over a third of the game. It's definitely the Mount that are leading, certainly setting the bar, and they're setting it very high. And Gretton have been asked a number of questions, and at the moment they're struggling to answer them.
So there's a nice little crowd building up on the pavilion there. A lot of support for both clubs.
So you chili bins coming in, which I guess why wouldn't you come with a chili bin down to the Oval on a night like tonight with a Premier Club final happening?
As Baldry looks to continue his spell, this will be his second over. His first over just gone for the single, so. Chipped in the air, straight to mid-off, and it's out. Baldry has his man, another huge wicket for the Mount, and looks like that one might have just spun a little, Dave.
May have. I was about to say before that ball was bowled that this is an over that really one of these batsmen has to take charge and have a go and get after the bowling, and Hendry took it on himself to have a go. He really didn't get going. He was 8 runs off 20 balls, which at this level for a guy of his reputation is probably not really a good return for him. So yep, the Mount continue inroads into the Gretton batting lineup, and more importantly create more dot balls, and the wickets are even better than a dot ball.
Yeah, great start here for Baldry into his second over. Here's one of the form players for Gretton, actually. Rana Raja, he's been a solid middle order player for them for a decent period of time here, and he's been scoring runs this season, so this will be a big challenge again for the Mount to see if they can keep the run rate from being lifted too high with this change of batsman.
Because of the accuracy and the lines that Mount have bowled, you can kind of see Gretton being stuck almost between two approaches to this innings. What may have started off as let's work a few singles to start with, and they did start very well. Bowled, I think the first 4 balls went for ones, and before that first wicket fell. And then suddenly those dried up, and then dots became the order of the day, and then suddenly there's still no, like we haven't had a boundary scored, and we're in the 7th over, which is pretty unusual for a ground this big. And while the boundaries are reasonably large, they're still quick, and the Gretton boys are stuck, just seem to be stuck at the moment between going for the boundaries or just continue to work their way through the pressure that's been applied.
Baldry's over the wicket now, and he's got that first slip in play to Rana Raja, so you just wonder if there isn't a lot of turn there, and he fancies a little nick.
Yeah. I think that wicket was a result of that, just a little bit of unsurety in the Gretton's mind how to play on this wicket.
Just a single out to the cover sweeper there off the mark is Rana Raja, which brings Bettelheim back on strike, and he's got to stick in there for his team. They can't afford to lose 2 batsmen who have faced a few balls here.
No, when you face 22 balls and you're only on 13, you need to bat. You need to make that decision now that he needs to be, at the end of these 20 overs, he needs to be 65 not out to give the team the opportunity to now perhaps target 140 or thereabouts.
Ooh, that one just looked to go straight and squared up Bettelheim there, just out to cover for a dot ball. Baldry really impressive here, just beautiful changes of pace and flight, Dave.
That was a great ball coming around the wicket, natural to slide it into the stumps, but he's just also going across the right-hander.
Wide of the crease and just bunted for a dot ball down the ground.
Once again, just what I'm saying about Bettelheim stuck between 2 types of games here, and his natural game isn't to hit it, but he's trying to hit it, and he just needs to perhaps go back to timing the ball and placing it into gaps.
Yeah, it's a good shot there. Just hit it on the top of the bounce, out to long on for a single. That'll end the over. Greedon 25 for 2 off 8 overs. Mount Maunganui, great start.
Yeah, and Baldry will be disappointed that he didn't stop that. He got across well, dived and got a hand on it, but just couldn't quite pull it in. Otherwise, it would have been just a single off the over. But as it is, he's bowled 2 overs and got 1 for 3. He's bowled very, very well. So the question is now, will there be another bowling change? Because we're well on the way and through the innings, and I imagine it's just about time for another bowler to come in. And as we speak, I think it's Dale Swan, is it?
Looks like Dale Swan, so spinners in tandem here for the Mount, and this is traditionally how they've looked to squeeze teams through the middle overs.
Correct. And it's interesting, the old under COVID now, umpires aren't allowed to hold hats, so you see the old village cricket with a hat on the ground, or sometimes given to somebody.
He's picked it up now easily.
Yeah, I thought it's a bit niggly if you get hit on the hat. It's 5 runs, I think, isn't it?
I think that is the penalty nowadays, 5 runs.
I actually spoke to an umpire one day and said, why don't you put it behind the stumps? And they said, well, if a throw comes in and hits the stumps and the ball hits the hat, it's still 5.
You'd be pretty unlucky if that happened, I reckon.
Yeah, you would. You would.
As Swan into the crease now. First one's tossed up a bit, which is actually quite rare for Swan. It's hit to cover and they'll get through for a single.
Experienced bowler Dale Swan now. He's played a lot of cricket and he's in his early 30s, is he, Kyle? You'd know better
Yeah, I
than
think
me.
he's about 33 now.
Yeah, and he's
New father.
played a lot of cricket and he's a very canny bowler. And I think there's a little bit of drift there, just that first ball, just a little bit of drift as he flighted it. As you say, he doesn't always flight it that much, but good one-day bowler.
Definitely looks to hit a lot of pads, does Dale Swan. He's in again, it's pitching on leg stump, and great fielding off his own bowling to get across here and stop it.
It's interesting how these spinners are so good off their own bowling, isn't it? Like,
sometimes you just wish they'd put in the effort in the field.
back in the day yourself, you're a bit of a leg spinner, and I think if I recall seeing you in the game up on number 2, Blake, one day that you were running around and fielding it all around the field because you were so intent on stopping singles off your bowling.
No, we don't talk about me on here, Dave. No one's here about me. As Bettelheim advances down to Swan and gets a single to mid-off.
That's a better cricket shot from Bettelheim. He came down and got there nicely and played the ball, played a good cricket shot down to mid-on, and he didn't need to hit across the line or trying to hit it too hard. There was a single there. Another time that will go a little bit wider of mid-off and potential for 2 runs. So you just need to keep playing cricket shots.
5 out here for Swan. So it's a little leading edge to backward point there. So his 5 out to the right-hander. He's got a deep point, long on, long off, cow corner, and a guy just in front of square there. So definitely looking a bowl a bit straighter and flatter, I would have thought, with that sort of field. Just the 2 in the ring on the offside. So this one's a full toss and it's hit out to that man. Deep square. Was dipping, so the umpires are happy with the height. That'll finish the over. 30 for 2 off 9 overs now. It's a good start from Swan, just the 5 off.
Yeah, better from Gret in that over. They, apart from one ball, got a single every ball, and if Bettelheim had put that last ball away, which was a full toss, would have ended up going for 4, and there was that possibility, but he picked out the one fielder on the boundary, the square leg, and if it had gone for 4, then suddenly that over would have gone for 8 rather than just the 5. So better from Greton. Now they got to keep doing this for a few more overs, and then when that loose one comes, they need to put it away. But they are struggling to get onto Baldry at the moment. He's been outstanding.
As he's in and Ranaraja advances and hits him to that deep extra cover. Should be just a single there. Musgrave, the man doing the work out in the deep there. Yeah, it's quite wily from the Mount here. They're prepared to give up singles from here on in, so they've just put 4 or 5 out now to both batsmen, and if you're good enough to get 6 singles and over, so be it. We're happy chasing that from this point. Bit of shape on that delivery, and it's hit to cover for a dot ball.
Once again, Baldry coming around the wicket to the right-hander, and he's just cramping the batsman up, and they're really unable to get hold of him at all.
Big appeal. Didn't look too good from up here. Umpire signal not out. Perhaps going down, pitching outside.
Yeah, I think the LBW is definitely. I think it pitched outside leg, but I think Pomardi's gone for the court actually because he thinks he got an edge on it.
Umpires are actually conferring here, so
Mount trying to milk it by patting everybody on the back and saying well done, but I think it'll actually still be not out because I don't think the batsmen I don't think the umpires are very confident about the edge, but certainly the keeper Ben Pomardi was pretty confident.
yeah, looks like we've given not out there. So
No
perhaps
third umpire or hot spot or snicker in this commentary, Kyle.
did look like the right decision from up here, though, Dave.
Oh, certainly from a point of view, I think it pitched outside, definitely pitched outside league in my mind from where we are commentary box.
Baldry's in again, wide of the crease once again. Sliding across, defended into the offside for a single. Still no boundary hit in this match so far, nearly a quarter of a way in.
Beginning to wonder whether the mower operator didn't have the blades going when they were mowing, Kyle. Have you any comments to make?
Can't comment on that. Like to think they know what they're doing here at Bay Oval, though, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's a great spot, and it's certainly ground looks a picture tonight under this beautiful sunlight, and just as it's setting in the over the salt works. It'll be interesting to see it under lights in an hour or so's time.
Just a single there for Ranaraja sees 4 off 8 deliveries. Biddleheim 19 off 30. Baldry's only gone for 6 off his 2.5 overs. That includes a wicket as well, so he'll be very happy with that. Bowls the last ball of the third over. Play and miss outside off. Finishes another good over for the Mount. Greedon 33 for 2 off 10. The Mount spinners just coming into the game and producing the goods, Dave.
Yeah, that was a great over from Baldry again. That last ball, he slided it through the over, and that one just slid straight across, coming around the wicket to the right-handers, and sliding it across, straightening a little bit, but that one just carried on with the arm and went straight across, and Pomardi did a great job with the gloves, but no edge. But another dot, which is gold for the Mount.
Swan to bowl his second. It's a great shot advancing. Looks to pierce the mid-off fielder, but can't find the gaps. A great piece of fielding from young Dave Hancock there, who some of you may know from his New Zealand under-19 days, about a year ago now, wasn't it, Dave, that tournament?
Yes, he was in last year's under-19 side. He's a promising all-rounder, originally from Matamata, but now residing in the Baupini region.
Swannon again, leading edge, run through to mid-off for a single. Never really a chance for the fielder, drop well short. Hancock tidying it up.
I think he has a back issue, is that right? So is he playing as a batsman, is that right? Or is he
traditionally an all-rounder, bowls with good pace, but recovering from a back injury, so playing as a batsman tonight. I think he's hoping to be bowling in the next couple of weeks, but still working his way back from that one as Dale Swan bowls a dot ball.
A little bit of turn there, as it drifted into the pads and then just straight into touch.
See Ben Pomari coming down here and just having a word to Swanee. He's seen something.
Yeah, I think he might bring that the man at cover just in a little bit more. No, there's no changes. I just put Hancock back at long off. Certainly the last 2 balls almost created leading edges, so I wonder whether that cover might just hunt in a little bit.
It's hit out to long on from Ranaraja for 1. Matt Golding getting it back in to Dale Swan there. Biddleheim last 10 minutes done a better job of rotating the strike.
Yeah, he has. He's still trying to hit it too hard in my mind, just as a cricket observer, but he's certainly started to rotate it with a few singles now.
Another single there for Greedon.
So Swan just coming to the completion of a second over, none for 10. So Greeton have done a little bit better job the last 2 overs off Dale. While the fielders are back, it's a little easier perhaps for them. There's more space and they managed to pick up almost a runner ball.
Yeah, there's actually large pockets at this ground. If you hit the right gaps and time it well, you can get 2s and 3s here. So that's hit out to extra cover for a single. Pete Drysdale, the man there. That's the completion of the overs. 39 for 2 off 11. Run rate sitting at 3.6 here. 9 overs to go. Greedon probably got to have a go here. They've only 2 down.
Yeah, comes down to risk and reward. So at some stage you've got to have a go and lift the rate. And I guess it's to do with overs left, assets in the changing room in the way of wickets. So they've lost those 2 wickets, which have put a bit of a dent in their timing about when that charge would happen, but it's got to happen soon. You kind of sense that it's not far from the game breaking over one way or other.
So Baldry's back in for his last over. Advancing is Ranaraja. Set into a pocket there. They're going to get 2 pretty easily, I'd imagine. Ben Musgrave at extra cover does the fielding.
Lovely shot by Ranaraja. He advanced down the wicket, used his feet nicely and used nice wrist to put the ball over cover, wide of the cover sweeper. 2 comfortable runs. Good cricket.
Gives himself room, hits it over cover again. Should just be the single. Ben Musgrave very careful of the spin out that way. Skewed off the bat.
Almost an identical shot. This time he got a little bit less on it, so it went more directly to the cover sweeper. But suddenly you see a little bit more attempt at lifting the rate, don't you, Kyle? Straight away, these guys are trying to go after Baldry for this last over.
I think that's what you got to do here if you're Ranaraja. You've got to have it. Oh, it's pretty adjacent, that one. Given out. It moved across the stumps and looked to be hitting middle and leg from up here. Great bowling, Dave.
Yeah, once again, those dot balls have just created in the mind of the batsman doubt, and wasn't the greatest shot by Betelheim. I would have liked to have seen him come down the wicket and still punch down the ground, or advance down the wicket and put him over mid-wicket where there was space, but chose to play a sweep, and it was sort of a half sweep, wasn't it? It wasn't really almost a straight batted pull shot. Strange sort of a shot.
It was quite odd. He didn't look to get too far down, did he? He looked to almost hit it behind square off the back foot.
Yeah, and ended up getting hit very adjacent, and I think there wouldn't have been much doubt in anybody's mind that was out, and certainly Baldry's very, very happy, as are the Mount team. And another blow to Greeton, and as I mentioned, getting that far into the innings and then with Betelheim batting and then getting out is kind of the worst scenario for his team. Very important that they develop a partnership, but unfortunately time's running out around how long they can push the ones. There's time for a boundary somewhere, but it's a little hard to see where that's coming at the moment.
Yeah, 42 for 3 here. Greedon under a little bit of pressure, but they're such an experienced unit that you just get the feeling they're capable of getting themselves out of this and still producing a solid total, Dave.
Yeah, they bat well down, and they're a good, strong team. And just looking at this field now, they've now new batsman and Watkins to the crease, and Baldry immediately has moved the man at long on a little bit wider to more of a wide long on. So obviously knows a little bit about where he may hit the ball. That was kind of the area where I was thinking that Betelheim should have been going, maybe over the man on the catching man at Shortman wicket into that space towards tower number 6. Those who know the ground here, big space in there, and 2 every time.
Baldry's in again. Sweep shot first up, and looks like it's heading towards the boundary. Crombie in pursuit. Beautifully cut off, and Pete Drysdale, that is, run around and give him some support and returns it back in. Still denied of their first boundary, agreed in here.
Yeah. Well played by Watkins first ball. Got the ball relatively fine. And great chase by Crombie. Certainly did well to cut it off. Look for all money, might go for 4.
Bit more air on this one. It's hit him on the pad and it's been given. Bang, bang. That's Ranaraja as well. So the Mount getting the 2 batsmen who have been in for a good little period of time here, a little 10-minute period, and be 2 new batsmen at the crease, Dave.
Yeah, that's another great bit of bowling by Baldry. Continued to flight it, coming around the wicket, and it was very full. And Ranaraja tried to sweep it, and unfortunately for him, was beaten in the air. And once again, very little doubt in everybody's mind, and particularly the umpire, who at the end of the day is the one that counts, that was LBW. So Baldry is having an outstanding game, 3.5 overs, and has 3 for 12, and it's potentially turning into a match-winning performance. The spell from Baldry, and full credit to the Mount and to Ben Palmati, the captain, who made the call to bring him in when he did. Been times where Craig has actually opened the bowling, but obviously knew something about what they thought, a plan that they had that would mean that they'd bring him in first change and then bowl him right through, which is what they've done.
Yeah, fantastic captaincy that from Pamari. Obviously brought him on that last over of the power play, and from there he's just done a fantastic job of creating dot ball pressure, and 12 runs off his 3.5 so far is obviously a great storytell of that. So
Craig is a sort of bowler who can bowl in the power play county. He's the sort of guy who bowls great lines and great lengths and with little subtle changes, and so he's not afraid to bowl with only 2 out in the power play, but he's got a little bit more protection there, obviously, and he's done a fantastic job.
he's in again. It's a big leading edge and falls just short of Baldry. That would have been turning this game on its head at 45 for 4 at the moment. Great effort, and it's a fantastic spell from Baldry. 3 wickets, 12 runs off his 4 overs.
And probably, to be honest, as he played that ball, it was sort of hung there for a long time. Didn't look like it was going to be caught, but then he had to get around the batter at the non-striker's end, and at the end of the day, that split second of time probably just cost him. But slung out his arm at the last minute and was almost pulled off a great catch. So fantastic spell, and you'd imagine that if one of your bowlers can come on and bowl 4 overs and take 3 for 12, you've actually put your team into a very strong position, regardless of what's been happening at the other end. And the other bowlers have bowled around them, and they've done a great job. So one of the things that we always think about with batters in any form of the game are where the spaces are, Kyle. And there's spaces between fielders, there's spaces in front, but there's also spaces over. And to be honest, Gretton have failed to take advantage of those spaces at the moment, haven't they? Like they occasionally got the ball, push the ball short of the fielders, but they've got very little through and very little over the fielders. Swan just begins his next over, and there's a single just wide of the cover. Baldry dived, and he's everywhere, isn't he?
He's in the game, that's for sure.
Yep.
Just going back to your point there, Dave, I think you're right. We're seeing flashes of gap hitting and hitting defielders and running if it's poorly timed, but probably just hasn't been enough of it. And half-hearted shots perhaps have lost them wickets.
Yep. It's almost like, as I said at the start, they're almost stuck between 2 types of the game. They struggled to hit the boundaries, and then struggled to do anything other than hitting.
It's an appeal there, and it's been given. Dale Swan this time getting in on the action. Lee Watkins, the captain, hip adjacent on the pad and must go. It's another bit of success here for Mount Maunganui, and Dave Gredden reeling at 47 for 5.
Yes, and that looked pretty adjacent too. It was an arm ball, came in with the arm. Watkins tried to sweep it, and it's pretty hard to think that wasn't very adjacent to off stump, and sort of the umpire judged that it hit him in line. And further trouble for Gredden, 47 for 5, and their innings is in tatters really. It's going to take, unfortunately, they've only got just over 7.5 overs left, and going to have to be some kind of recovery, but it's going to have to be done at pace. So it's Mount are feeling pretty comfortable, I would imagine, with their position.
It's that man on screen, Ben Pamari, the leader behind this team, and he's done a fantastic job of bowling the right bowlers at the right times, you feel, and perhaps that's the reason for some of the success that the Mount are having.
Yeah, they certainly have, and I imagine that Pete Drysdale, the other off-spinner in the side, who's developing into a good one-day bowler, may well be the one that comes in at the other end to take over once Baldry's finished his spell, and the pressure may continue.
Greedon from here, Dave, what do they have to do to recover this innings?
So they've got 7.3 overs left, so if they go at sevens, another 55, and that get them to 110, 115, which might stretch out to 125. But that's would be an absolute minimum, I would have thought.
Swans in, hits him on the pad, but it's gone very far down leg, and the man at 45 does the fielding there, and it's run through for a single.
You see Pete Drysdale just out at the cover sweeper doing a few stretches, so I'm thinking that the Mountain captain Ben Palmati might be bringing him in at the other end, the city end, to take over from Craig Baldry.
Swans in again. This one's swept up in the air. Big top edge. Musgrave under it, and a bit more success for the Mount. Jared Tuddy with a rash shot. Third ball of his innings. And gee, Dave, it's all falling apart for Greedon here.
It certainly is. They not only are they losing wickets, but they're not scoring as well. So it's amazing game cricket, and pressure can do strange things to people. And fair play to the Mount. They've bowled good channels. They've created pressure. They've fielded well. They put enough balls in the right places to mean that they've asked a lot of questions of Greedon, and unfortunately, at this stage they don't have too many answers. So yeah, it's looking pretty ominous, to be honest, from a Greedon point of view.
So Patrick Davenport, the new man, and these two have a big task ahead of them to try and get some sort of total on the board here for Greedon, because anything under a run of ball, the Mount have shown the last 3 years, having won the last 3 T20 championships, they're pretty good at chasing small totals.
Yeah, I think that Greedon are in salvage mode here to get what they can. And as I say, run of ball's a minimum, so that gets them 40 runs or 50 odd runs maybe. So it's hard to see them getting much beyond maybe 110, 115 if things go well.
Swans in once again. This one's forward, it's bowled him. It's Lorenzi this time. The Mounties cannot believe their luck. Wicket after wicket here at Bay Oval. 7 for 48 at Greerton. And this is not what we had in mind when we turned up to the ground this afternoon, Dave.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? As I say, pressure. Amazing what it can do. And Lorenzi, first ball he faced, it was full. Might have been the second ball he faced. It was full ball, and he tried to whip it off his legs, and just a little bit of grip from Swan. It was a well bowled ball. It had a bit of length to it. And the Mount, I think the thing I've noticed, Kyle, is that the Mount boys have bowled full, haven't they? They haven't dragged anything short. The spinners have been, I think one ball from Dale Swan might have been a full toss, and that's probably the only ball in the entire game that really put them in a scoring position that they could potentially put it away, and he found the fielder straight on the square leg boundary. So yeah, everything's gone their way. The Mount are looking very polished at the moment and looking very dominant. And as I thought, they've got another change of bowling now. Craig Baldry's finished his spell, and Pete Drysdale to bowl, and he's had great success in one-day cricket, particularly T20, and he's been playing a few games for NDA, I believe, and he'll be looking to get a piece of the action as well. So the squeeze continues.
Yeah, the Mount will be looking to to wrap it up fairly quickly here. They don't want to be chasing too many. Obviously, we've seen Drysdale comes in and it's punched off the back foot for no run. We've seen the fuller balls and the changes of pace, Dave, are actually quite tricky to play, so Drysdale again. It's a big shot out to that mid-wicket boundary, but it'll just be the single off Davenport's bat. Greerdon 49 for 7 here, and we're just about halfway through the 14th over at Bay Oval. Bay of Plenty Cricket T20 final. As Skipper Pamari just has a bit of a word to Drysdale here in the centre of the wicket.
The new man at the crease, don't know much about this chap. Kyle, would you be able to but give me a bit of information?
No, I'm quite unfamiliar with him myself. I know he's new to Greerdon this year. Mostly known for his opening bowling, so I'm not sure of his batting capabilities. But perhaps he can show us something here today. As he outside edges it off the back foot down to the northern boundary, but Chris Atkinson tidies it up fairly well. Good chase anyway. Be 2 runs. 50 runs up for Greerdon.
That was a false shot by Rush, but managed to edge it wide of Pamari, and at that stage no slip in, so it was not a catching chance, but it was certainly a miss hit.
This picture on your screens here is probably a pretty good indication of the time of day here at Bay Oval. There's a lot of shadows starting to creep across the ground. Of course, the lights are due to come on in not too long a time, I wouldn't have thought. It's an outside edge over cover, produces a single.
I think just after 7, I think is the time frame for the lights. The way Greerdon are going, they might be in the field by then.
Drysdale bowls, it's full, it's knocked down the ground for a single. It's a good piece of batting from Rush. So the return throw comes in. So it's end of another over. It's 54 for 7 off 14. The run rate just a click under 4 and over. 6 overs remaining. Greerdon will be looking to try and get that 100 mark, but
yeah, it's a long way away at the moment, and the overs left aren't the issue. It's the ones in the the numbers in the wickets column that are the problem for them. We talked about risk and reward and assets in the cupboard or in the changing room, and unfortunately they've only got 3 left, 3 wickets available to try and scramble their way to a competitive score, and unfortunately for them that competitive score is seeming a little way away at the moment. I would have thought 150 was a minimum on this ground before the game started. With the state of the wicket as it is, it's a good deck and it's reasonably good pace and carry. Won't turn a lot, but the bowlers have played very well, Mountain bowlers.
Swans into bowler's 4th over here, and there's an inside edge onto the pad. He's really hunting for those stumps.
He is. There's a nice little drift on that from Dale Swan. He just getting through his action nicely. A little bit of movement in the air.
Again, it's just bunted down to long on. Matt Golding behind it, so you'd like to think it's just a single, and it is.
Yeah, good fielder Golding. He's a
very good
keeper by trade, but he's also very, very good in the field, as are a lot of wicket keepers. Say when they get the gloves off, they seem to even grow another leg there, quick around the field, and most of their throws are pretty accurate because they know what it's like if you don't get accurate throws.
Flatter from Swan, cut away to backward point for no run. It's Crombie doing the fielding there.
Getting a number of texts coming into our communication here. One from one of the great men, Pete Swan, just making comment about how straight the lines are on the ground, the mowing lines. Just wondering who did it, because clearly it wasn't me, because that's straight. Thanks, Pete, for that. Good friend that you are. The ground is looking a picture, Kyle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is looking good. It's a beautiful time of year to play cricket here at Mount Maunganui. Obviously, couch grasses, there's a big shot played for no run.
Hard to believe that didn't hit anything, including the wickets, the bat, or a pad or something. It was a mighty heave.
Just going back to the ground, it's obviously a beautiful time of year with the couch grass outfield, which thrives in the the summer months, as there's a slog sweep play it out. They'll get 2 off the misfield. Looks like Musgrave out there. Just a little fumble on the pickup, so can get back for 2 runs there, Congredon. It's the end of the over. 15 overs gone. It's 57 for 7. So Atkinson, Gooden and Crombie all have 2 overs left here, Dave, and you'd imagine 4 of those will come out of those 6, maybe 4 overs out of those 6.
It's interesting to know whether they'll continue with Drysdale to bowl as his component. They've had success with the slow bowlers, so Ben Pomari might be thinking, well, I'm just going to keep that guy going, or the spin going at one end. Obviously Swan and Baldry have both completed their spells.
Drysdale's in now to Rush, and he cuts just backward a point. The left-hander Chris Atkinson does the fielding there, just with a single.
So Swan completed his 4 and got 3 for 16, I think. Baldry was 4 overs with 3 for 12, so potentially that's the game right there, isn't
It's
it?
a big top edge. Gooden's under it. And yeah, he's safe as houses. That's a really good wicket for the Mount again.
And another wicket to the spinner, as we talked about, just basically on cue. And Davenport's gone, caught Gooden, bowled Drysdale, so the woes continue for the Gretton side, and it goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? They've now 58 for 8, and it's looking very ominous.
Yeah, we're well into the bowlers here. Looks like Dan Spencer on his way out to the middle, who renowned for his bowling, but probably not recognised so much as a batsman.
And I guess, as I said, Ben Pomari is thinking now, do I keep bowling Drysdale out? He's his second over, taking the pace off the ball. They've had pretty good success, or do I bring back my my quick bowlers, or a variation of? They've certainly got lots of resources. It makes a difference when you've got six frontline bowlers and 7 if David Hancock had been bowling but isn't. So they've got 6 bowlers, and you can mix it up, and on any given day 2 of those are going to go quite well.
Drysdale bowls it wider, and it's signalled a wide by the umpire, so cost the Mount a run there.
I think that's the first wide that's been bowled, is it?
First wide that has been bowled, I believe.
There was a no ball early, but first wide, so that's great control by Mount to be able to get through.
That shot's just lofted over cover, and it's good running to get back for 2. Again, as we talked about earlier, just hitting that pocket over extra cover there for.
And once again, seeing space over the top. So when you think about that given how strict umpires are on wides in this form of the game, to bowl 15.3 overs, and they've had 2 extras. One was a no ball, front foot no ball, and one was a wide. That's testament to the control of the Mount bowlers, and they've reaped the rewards of bowling very well and bowling to a field. So that's outstanding work by the Mount.
Pomari marshalling the troops as Drysdale bowls on in and hit to cover, run through for a single. Good running in the end.
Baldry is onto that like a flash. Throw was just slightly wide of the stumps, but I think the batsman was home. It's interesting, isn't it, Kyle? We're playing at an international cricket ground, and we've got nice side screens, and a group of patrons at the far end just parked right in front of them. So it hasn't affected any of the batters. Well, it might have affected them, but they haven't noticed them anyway.
Yeah, it is an interesting point you make. Perhaps a luxury of club cricket is having sight screens, as we can see the patrons there in front of the sight screens that you just talked about. Might be a group of kids there with their cricket bags come after training there, Dave.
It might be. See, over to the nets over there, I may have just finished now, but Russ Williams running some of his local academy boys, is that right? Russ Williams coaching coaching group. He's a local lad who does a great job with boys in the region, and not many hours of the day or the daylight that Russ isn't over there coaching lads. So bit of a shout out to Russ for all the work he puts into the local cricket scene. And as we speak, they've made the call to the completion of Swan's spell that they're going to bring Tony Gooden back in, which is another good move because he is the most experienced bowler in this Mount team. He's a former first-class player.
See some great support there for the Mount in particular by the looks of things on the terraces here at Bay Oval. It's a really lovely evening here, and I think the Mount supporters will be pretty happy with the start here, Dave.
Oh, the team have done everything they could do, haven't they? They couldn't ask for any more.
It's Goodens in again, this one honing in on the stumps, and Mitchell actually plays it pretty well and gets through for a single, so Rush just doing a job here for Greydon. He's 10 off 9 and he's hit pockets, he's got off strike. Pretty impressed here, Dave.
Yeah, it is. He's on a hiding to nothing because guys before him couldn't do it, and so he's left with a salvage job, and I guess it's with just over 4 overs left, it's a matter of getting what you can. It's hard to believe that they're going to go for more than 10 and over the way the Mount have bowled, so if they get 10 and over from here, that gets them to 100 or just a bit above, which you'd imagine wouldn't be enough, but cricket's a funny game. Runs on the board, which is what Lee Watkins said at the toss, wasn't it?
Yeah, he did say that. They talk about that quite often. Runs on the board in a finals is quite valuable, and although Greydon might score under par here, they're on track for by the looks. You know, Mount have still got to go out and get them, and we've seen that when you change your pace and the slower bowlers bowl well on this wicket, you are in the game.
I think if, regardless of what wicket you're on, that is the case. If you bowl good lines, create dots, do change-ups, bowl a good length, you're always in the hunt, aren't you? Is that Russ over there? On the sideline. Is that Russ? Just out by Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Zoom on him.
It's good in zone, and Rush hits in that cover gap and scurries through for a single.
Just talking about Russ Williams and his coaching that he does. He's also the club coach for the Mount Cricket Club, and I think I see him just walking the boundary, heading around towards the scoreboard. Kyle might just zoom in on him in a minute. Looks pretty happy with the Chargers' work to date.
Goodens in again, and it looks to have hit the end of the bat. They're trying to get through for a single. It's on at the bowler's end, and Pamari can't hit, but it was a very valiant effort to try and get that run out.
Great effort by Hancock getting around, obviously, at mid-off as well to get around, because it could easily have gone for overthrows, although Golding was coming in off the boundary at long on. Hancock got around and cut it off before it managed to escape out of the 30-metre circle. Another good result though there for the Mount. Just a dot ball, 1 run rather.
Goodens in. This one hits the body of Rush.
Ooh.
It's good bowling here from Gooden.
Gooden got in the road of a return and trying to hit the player having a shot at the bowler's end, and Gooden happened to be in the road. I don't know whether it's intentionally or not, but he certainly got nailed from behind. I think the batsman would have been home anyway.
This one's full on a stumps and it's bowled him. More success there for Mount Maunganui. Dan Spencer goes 2 off 4. Greydon 67 for 9 now. And there's your man Russ Williams there, Dave, just looking on. He'll be a proud coach of this team.
He will be happy. Does a good job, Russ, with the side, and works very hard with them. And thus far would be very happy with the lines they've bowled. I initially thought that had been nicked by Spencer, and Ben Pomari dived away to his right to try and catch it, but it was actually off the stumps. So good result for Tony Gooden, and well deserved. He's bowled great lines. He's bowled back of a length, bowled a heavy ball, which means that it's been hard to get away. So just looking as the new batsman comes in, James Boyd, I think, coming to the wicket.
Yeah, James Boyd, and don't know if he's got too much talk about with the bat, but perhaps going forward in this game he would play a big role with the ball bowling his leg spin. There is a little bit of rough being a used wicket out there for the leg spinner, so he might be a key in this game, obviously with this innings, but going forward with the ball also.
Yes. So Mount are continuing with Drysdale. He's bowled 2 overs, 1 for 11, so I think that's a good move from Ben Pomari, the Mount captain. There's an opportunity to just keep taking the pace off the ball. He's got his field set well. There's lots of opportunities for catches in the outfield, and equally they've got to create a lot more speed off the bat to try and pierce this boundary. And we're now 17 overs in, Kyle, no boundaries scored.
Drysdale back of a length to Rush, and it's a play and miss, just trying to dab it down to that third man. This outfielder's quick, but you get the feeling that the pace that Drysdale bowls, he's not going to access the boundary down that way. Pomari takes the bails, and it's been given out. Stumped is the call from the umpire, and that's another great dismissal for the Mount. Slow bowlers again doing the work.
So 8 wickets from the slow bowlers, and outstanding bit of wicket keeping by Ben Pomari. He's a very talented cricketer. He's New Zealand under 19 player last year and captains the Bale Plenty men's team. A very good bat as well, and a very promising wicketkeeper, plays for NDA. And just saying goodbye to George Armitage out of our commentary box. He's our technical whiz. He's been responsible for the feed today, so thanks again, George, for your efforts. It's great to take a game like this to the wider world. And it's a very, very happy Mount side leaving the wicket, leaving the arena with a very gettable target ahead of their batsman.
Yeah,
so Gretton bowled out for 67. So Kyle, maybe you could just quickly go through some of your thoughts as we just wait for the change of innings.
I think Mount did a fantastic job of, well, firstly up top they identified it wasn't swinging, so they decided to change their pace through slow balls with the quick bowlers, and a little bit of success there. And then through the middle, just the spinners, lovely changes of pace and angle and lines, and I think that's, I probably would have thought that's where the innings was, a bit of success in the innings there, I should say. Then Gredham, to be fair, were just under pressure the whole time, couldn't get any sort of momentum going. And
yeah, they'd be disappointed with their performance. They, as I said earlier, 2 or 3 times during the commentary, they kind of looked to me like they got stuck between trying to play 2 forms of the game. And despite the fact that T20, as we understand, is 20 overs, you still have to play good cricket. And unfortunately for Gretton, they lost their way a little bit, and as a result were bowled out for 67. So be interested to see how the Mount approach the challenge, and obviously it's probably one they don't have to take too many risks to come through and win this, but it's runs on the board as we've talked about, and it'll be interesting to see whether they can create some pressure. So wickets fell steadily throughout the innings. There was a little bit of a recovery through to 42 before they lost their 3rd wicket, and then basically was a procession from then on. So Gretton will be disappointed, as any team would be that just got bowled out for 67 in a final. But runs on the board, and we'll be back shortly with the response from the Mount, and look forward to having a good battle in the second innings, and look forward to seeing everybody back following us online. Thanks very much.
welcome back into Bay Oval here, where the name of the game is Mount Maunganui chasing 68 to win, which is probably not what we expected on arrival to the ground this afternoon, but that's what the task is for Mount Maunganui anyway, and I think they're going to give it the best shot here. And Greedon equally will be looking to get some early wickets in the power play and create pressure that way, which is almost what the Mount did to them, really, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah, so Greedon have probably got a really thin sort of opportunity here to create inroads, and they probably have to do it within the power play, don't they? To be honest, I don't think I'd be starting the game with one slipper, and I'd be having a slipper in the gully and just trying to create as much and almost have a ring field, because they won't keep them to under the score unless they pick up wickets. So no third man, which is a good move, but I think I'd have a gully in. There's a big hole down there if happens to get one off the outside edge. So this might change here. They're actually just moving one of the players around to that gully position where I was talking. But I think they've got to take wickets, don't they, Kyle?
Yeah, so 67 runs for me. I think they've got to get spin on pretty early as well. Give your spinners some runs to bowl to.
Yeah.
I think that's almost the key for them, is they've got a good leg spinner in James Boyd. Rana Raja bowls off spin, so if they can get those sorts of guys into the game early,
John McCreary is an off spinner too.
that's right. Just give themselves a chance.
Yeah.
Anyway, Musgrave on strike, Tuddy running in. First ball looks to be a wide as the umpire signals, so not the ideal start for Greedon, but looks to be a bit of carry there for Tuddy.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the wicket at all. I think you bend your back and you bowl into the wicket. There's plenty of carry. Typical of a Kakanui wicket, this one. It's interesting. Went right through the entire 17 and a half overs that the Mount bowled, and they bowled one wide, and first ball from Greedon was a wide, so a disappointing start.
Tuddy's in again, it's back of a length, and Musgrave just drops it onto the offside, and it's really well taken single. I think that's the key for this partnership. They've been opening with each other in T20s for the last couple of seasons now for the Mount, and one of the highlights of them batting together is they're running between the wickets. They're both so quick and so aware of spaces, gaps and opportunities to take those singles.
And that's what happens when you do bat a lot together, doesn't it? You almost don't have to call, you just know straight away that there's runs. Pete Drysdale's a very accomplished cricketer, and he's been around a long time, and he'll just see this as an opportunity to probably have 25, 28, 30 not out at the end of this chase. And I can't see him needing to take any risk, and neither should he. So I imagine he will just look to get the pace of the wicket.
Tuddy's in. Little inside edge from Drysdale just behind square will allow another single. Not sure it's shaping for these Greedon bowlers either, as it didn't for the Mount, but perhaps again if they're onto it and they saw the way the Mount bowled, those changes of pace will come in pretty quickly.
I imagine so, and I totally agree. I don't think the Greedon lads can waste too long before bringing in their spinners. I think they need to get them in within the first 3 or 4 overs, to be honest.
Outside edge, one bounce to that gully fourth slip region.
It's good pace from Tuddy. Musgrove played it well, but he played it sort of above the waist, and it got up into him a little bit, and he worked it down to the slip, to the gully region, and that's good from Watkins. He's now changed that field, and he has a slip and a gully, knowing he's got to take wickets.
So this one's full. It has Musgrave driving. I think we're about to see our first boundary of the match, ladies and gentlemen, and yeah, it's a great shot from Musgrave, just out to that cover point boundary. Bit full from Tuddy on this occasion, and Musgrave puts it back to the rope.
Great shot. It was just a little fuller, and he actually drove it on the up. It wasn't really in the zone to drive, but he drove on the up, showed good technique, and drove between slip and between point and cover. So the cover's quite straight, so there's a bit of a hole through the normal cover region. So Great shot by Musgrove.
This one's a little bit short, a little bit wider, and it's let through to the keeper. Again, really good carry there.
That's good carry.
Something to play with here for the bowlers if they bowl in the right spots and, as you say, bend their backs.
Yeah, because I mean, as we mentioned earlier, the problem for Greeton is they actually have to create wickets, and they don't have time to allow players to let the ball go past the bat because it will come back to haunt them at the other end.
Tutty's into Musgrave and he works it behind point, and they've actually got no third man. It's just trickling down to the boundary. Good chase from Ranaraja. There'll be 3 there again. That's just a highlight of the running. That's the first over gone for Mount Maunganui. There's 10 off it. What'd you see there, Dave, from that first over from Tutty?
Well, I saw that this wicket's got pace and carry, so there's reasonable speed on it. And if I was Greeton, I would be immediately taking the pace off the ball. I would get a spinner in straight away. I think I would be bowling their slower bowlers, whether they are medium pacers or spinners. I'd get them in early because Tutty bowled quite nicely, but he still went for 10 off the over. And when you're only defending 67, that's 1/6 of the total required and 1/20 of the time available. So that doesn't add up immediately, does it?
Now, Dan Spencer, top of his mark here, just a couple of deliveries to that mid-off fielder. He's not going to blast anyone out by any means, but if there's anything in a wicket, he'll get it out of it. He's a little swinger and nibbler, so
he may well be exactly the pace that's required, actually. Whereas Tutty was pushing it through at a good clip. But Musgrove was equal to the occasion and just worked one down through the gully, wide of the gully region, and then drove that one for 4. So it'll be interesting to see what Spencer can do. There's certainly not a lot of swing in the air. Beautiful clear night, so there's no atmosphere, no wind at all on the ground tonight. And my thoughts about there being dew for the bowlers in the second innings possibly may not come into play with the small total that they're defending.
now Spencer into the crease. First one's down leg. I think that'll be signalled wide by the umpire. The keeper just couldn't quite get behind that one and it's gone through his legs. Just the single taken there, so Drysdale will find himself on strike and the umpire confirms the wide call. Again, we just looked at that pavilion. It's quite chocker with support here for both clubs. Looks like the barbecues and beers are flowing, so really is a nice evening here for some club T20 cricket.
It's a great innovation to have, been happening for a few years now, but to have this final played at the Oval, it's fast becoming one of the premier grounds in the country, and it's fantastic that club players can play here, and I believe the McNaughton Trophy, which is a reserve grade competition, will have a final here, as well as the men's 50 over competition, which is a Williams Cup, will have a final here. So it's fantastic for these players to get it here. So full marks to Barpany Cricket and also full marks to the Bay Oval for making these facilities available for the local players.
Spencer bowls, which is almost a long half volley to Drysdale, and he manages to get it out to that cover sweeper for 1. So immediately, from what I see here, Dave, he's not attacking the stumps enough, as he's got to be straight to that. Straight on that.
No, if you move the ball around or nibble it around, it's no good bowling one down leg side for wide and the other one just about a wide on the off stump. Got to get it in that zone. Better that time. Almost created a leading edge, didn't he?
Yeah, it's well bowled. That's a much better line length from Spencer. He'll be happy with that.
That's where he needs to be every ball. And that was a great thing from the Mount point of view of where they put the ball. So we're 2 overs in and we've had 2 wides bowled, and they do happen, but it just shows you that zone's got to be hit regularly.
This one's shorter and it jumps up at Musgrave, and he's actually played it brilliantly down to that third man. Fielder on the ring there for a single. So immediately the Mount doing a fantastic job of just rotating that strike and not allowing bowlers to bowl to one batsman for longer periods of time, which is probably key in a little run chase like this when Greeton are trying to get those early wickets. Not letting the bowlers settle on one batsman.
So immediately Greeton have had to go. They've gone down to 1 slip now, and then a short third man players in the ring, and then just a 2 out, but it's kind of where they're out that's of interest.
Spencer straighter to Drysdale and has just defended into the offside with good technique.
So it's almost an in-out field. They've got a cover point sweeper back at the boundary to take care of that one that might go for wide and get hit through the covers, and they've also got a wide fine leg.
Spencer's in, and it's a bottom edge there, was it, from Drysdale, just straight to slip.
I think he might have actually just missed it, and the keeper just got a glove on, and it might have just gone through the slip. You could be right. It was a bit of a hard to see from behind, but
Spencer's in, and it's full and patted back to the bowler for no run. Mount Maunganui 14 for none off 2 overs in their pursuit of 68 runs. Required run rate from here is only 3 and over, so obviously Greedon still in search of that first wicket here at Bay Oval. Mount Maunganui doing a good job of just rotating strike and putting away the bad ball to date. Be interested to see if they give Jared Tully another over here, or they look at James Boyd or one of the spinners at least to try and get into the action here. I don't think they can wait too long, Dave.
And I think they're going to make a bowling change, but I think it might be Rush, the other medium pacer, who's going to bowl. Just doing a few running repairs on his sock or his boot or his foot or something, and he's got the ball just beside him, so I think he's going to bowl. So they are making a change, but I still think you've got to get your spinners in early. They are attacking to a degree. They have a slip and maybe a narrow gully in place.
Saw this lad bowl at a club game actually at Blake Park, just on the top platform up there against the Mount a couple of weeks ago, and he had a good pace about him. He looked like he hit the wicket nice and hard, so perhaps the skipper here, has seen something from the wicket and he thinks Rush is the best player to get something out of it.
He's a tall lad, isn't he? He's so the ball come from a decent height. But the key, once again, we talked about right from the first ball, was they need to pick up wickets. They need to bowl in a zone that's going to create wickets, and they need to be accurate.
Rush is in. It's just a slap from Musgrave through extra cover. That's going to race for 4, no doubt about it. That's a bit of pressure being put on straight away from Musgrave. Gave himself a little bit of room, and it was wide as it is from Rush, and just looks a bit uncomfortable there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's limping a little bit, isn't he? That was a wide ball, and Musgrave just took full advantage of it and almost slapped it through the covers in an act of disdain, really, wasn't it? Great shot, and 4 from the moment he left his bat.
Rush just making some adjustments to his field at the top of his mark there. Looks like fine leg is going to come up into the circle. They're taking that extra catcher out into the cover region. They're going to push someone back onto the cover boundary, so looks like he wants to bowl that line, but he's still going to have to be straighter than he was there.
To be honest, when you're defending 67, I think I would have no one outside the circle. They've taken away their gully.
Rushes in, and Musgrave plays a similar shot. This one a little bit more on the up, but fantastic boundary again. It's back to back for Musgrave, who races to 17 off 9 deliveries.
That's actually a better shot than the first one. He stood tall and just absolutely punched that off the front foot for 4. Great shot. And Ben's that sort of player. Ben Musgrave's that sort of player, isn't he? That he will go at the ball and will play shots, and immediately I think, how do I respond to that as a Gretton captain and as a Gretton bowler?
Looked like a slow ball, that one from Rush, and Musgrave didn't quite have the pace on it to hit through the line as he did on the first couple, and results in a dot ball. It's actually quite smart bowling.
Almost thought that was Novak Djokovic for a minute. He almost overhanded it, didn't he? And down the line, Musgrove's obviously quite intent to get this out of the way.
Rushes in, another change of pace, flicked off the pads for a dot ball, so it's a lot better reply, that.
But good intent by Musgrove. He's looking for the one. It was a slower ball. Change up, and he tried to work it, and unfortunately for him it just got a little straight to Tuddy rather than just wide of him. But good intent by the Mount players, and they clearly have come out here, and we say we're not going to just dawdle our way here. We're going to make sure we push on and get this over with pretty quickly.
As deep square leg moves back. Rushes in. Well negotiated from Musgrove, equally well bowled, so it's just a bit of cat and mouse here, isn't it?
Yeah, well, to be honest, unless Rush is going to bowl a short one expecting Musgrove to hook, and he may well do that, I see little point in having your square leg on the boundary. Maybe a double bluff, I don't know, but like you haven't got time to actually. There's not enough time for Gretton to do anything here. They've actually got to get wickets.
As rushes in, big edge, top edge from Musgrave to mid off, and it's a great catch taken. Dan Spencer, the man. That's a brilliant catch into the sun almost.
Yep. It was a very good catch. I kind of thought from the moment he hit that he may not catch that, and he pushed back, and scored. Took a great catch. It was so.
Just one too many there from Musgrove, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Almost taken the damage off that over. Probably didn't need to play that shot.
No, didn't need to play it. Gretton will be happy with that, but equally Mount won't be unhappy. They've scored 22 runs in 3 overs, so you think that the horse may have bolted, but time will tell.
Here's the young pup of the Mount Maunganui side on his rookie season, actually, Niven Dovey. Made the transition from Tauranga Boys to the Mount Club over the Christmas break, and this is probably the biggest game he's played for in the green and gold to date.
Niven's a good player. Niven Dovey's a good player. He's, as Kyle just mentioned, he's a young lad, but he's very promising. He's played for Indy under 19s, and he has had a game or two, I think, last year for the Bay of Plenty men's representative side, and I think he captains the development side. So he's a player that has some good reps on, and a player that a lot's expected going forward. He's a very hard worker, trains long hours at this game, and very passionate about it. So he's a good prospect, young Niven.
Here we go. Mount Maunganui 22 for 1 as Spencer's into a second over to Niven Dovey. Punched out behind point, a scrambled single. Niven Dovey off the mark to the delight of the crowd. There's a big applause around the oval for that one.
Was that Niven's father over there calling? What was it? Sounded a bit like him, didn't it?
Yeah, I've never heard such a big applause for somebody getting off the mark with a single as scratchy as that before, Dave.
May have been his father. It was well coursed through by Drysdale. He did a good job. There was a run there. Non-striker's call, so he called Niven Dovey through, and he was a little bit late leaving, but was home by some distance. Drysdale again facing Spencer now.
Looks for that sweep option as Drysdale, and be interested to see if that's called leg biles or not from the umpire. No, so he's hit the bat and got through for a single.
Unusual choice of a shot that I would have thought from Drysdale, but I know that he does favour the sweep.
I think I found the riffraff that had the big applause for that shot off the mark for Dovey. Looks like the Niven Dovey fan club under the swap sign there.
Just zoom in just to see if there's anybody that we need to eject from the ground, would you, Kyle?
Spencer's into Niven, it's straight. Big appeal, and it's been given. Bang, bang for Gretton. That's the sniff they needed. That's the sniff they wanted. Looked pretty straight from up here. He played all around it, really, and Spencer's going to get LBWs if you let him bowl straight to you.
Correct. My initial reaction was that it was going down leg, but it may have straightened a bit. A little bit hard to tell where our commentary positions behind the keeper, and didn't actually see the screen, so we don't have replays here, so a little unsure. But only one person that really needs to think us out, and that's the umpire. So Gretton has struck back quickly, and it's important now that the Mount consolidate. Suddenly, one becomes two when you're talking about wickets, and Great would certainly feel like they're in with a sniff here.
Yeah, that's right. Greedon done an outstanding job of trying to. They've been aggressive with the ball, and it might have cost them a couple of extra runs here. But perhaps this is when they can put the squeeze on and almost do what Mount Maunganui did to them. Just a couple of wickets creates pressure, and the tumble effect off that can be costly at times.
This is a key partnership now because Ben Pomare is a very good player, and you'd imagine these two guys are pretty experienced, and it's hard to believe that Greedon wouldn't underestimate the importance of a wicket right now, because it's pretty key.
Yeah, it's a good start there again from Spencer. Nice and straight, honing in on the stumps, really putting the Mount batsman under pressure. Of course, Drysdale and Pomare opening the batting together for Mount Maunganui in the 50 over format. So they're well accustomed to batting together. Different situation now. As Pomare takes his off stump guard. Hit to the square leg fielder. Good running from Drysdale again, calling his partner through, and gee, he's been good at that. That might be the third one now. He's called his striker through for a single.
Experienced player, Pete Drysdale, isn't he? He's you'd know, Kyle, how many games for the Mount has Pete played?
He brought up his 200th at the end of last season, so he must be well into his must be pretty close to 220 now.
That's a fantastic achievement, isn't it, by anybody? And I think he's may well be the highest number of games for Bar Plenty, has he? Am I correct with that?
Yeah, he might have been 2 summers ago now. Actually played his 100th game for the Bay, so he's probably maybe one of 2 or 3 club cricketers ever to play 200 for his club and 100 for the Bay of Plenty. So he's in pretty elite company with that, I would have thought. Be rushed to continue.
Oh, yeah, true.
Rush, playing a miss from Pomare there, so suddenly, just as we talked about not so long ago, Dave, if Greedon can put the Mount under a bit of pressure, and they've done so, and foul shots are starting to come out.
Yeah, unnecessary shot by Pomare that time. He just really flirted with one outside off stump, didn't he? Another wicket now would certainly create a little bit of doubt in the changing room, wouldn't it? Ooh, there's a half chance. Just that one driven into the covers, and great
good running in the end. Drysdale dives in as they try to take the stumps, but just results in 2. Mount Maunganui 27 for 2 now, just about halfway through the 5th over. And there he is. Here's the young skipper. He might be one of the youngest ever skippers for the Mount Maunganui Cricket Club, I would have thought, Dave. Only 20 years old. Obviously, pretty good career to date, playing New Zealand 19s as the wicketkeeper there. Bay of Plenty captain. So he drops that down for a single. Well run again from Drysdale. He's really doing a great job of getting his partners the other end here.
You know, that previous one that they hit, Ben Pomare hit to the covers, there was a half chance if Davenport had picked it up, and if he'd picked it up cleanly on the run and then fired at the stumps and hit the stumps, there was a chance of a run out. As it turned out, he misfielded it slightly, and Drysdale in a flash was back and dived and got home safely, and then followed that up with a really good call for the next ball. So Drysdale's doing a great job of making sure they're picking up, they're turning those ones into twos or creating the ones when they're there. So yeah, we're starting to see shadows move over the ground yet. Might have to send a message to the Calvin Jones, the general manager of the Oval, time to turn the lights on. I think they're set to come on any moment, actually.
Drysdale on strike, Rush bounding in. This one's full and it's in miscued off drive. Just be a dot ball there to that man Spencer at mid-on. Mitchell Rush got hit for 2 boundaries to start a spell day, but he's come back brilliantly here. He's bowling a disciplined line and length, and it's not the easiest wicket in the world to bat on by the looks of the things so far.
I don't know that I agree. I actually don't think it's a difficult wicket. I think the bowlers have just bowled in good channels, and
Well, it might be an overthrow or 2 here. That might race to the boundary, in fact. Drysdale will pick up 5 there. So he's just hit it to that mid-off fielder, and mid-off's had a shy at the bowler's end, and the man there at 45 hasn't got around to back it up in time, and it's cost a boundary. Mount Maunganui currently 33 for 2. 1 ball to come in the over. As you see, there's a bit of a conference here between captain and bowler, as Pamari will take strike. Still operating with that first slip in here, Dave, so I think there's a chance of a little nick here, especially with the new batsman.
Oh, I'd have a gully too. I still don't understand. You've got to get. You're not going to.
Just about halfway there, aren't they?
Yeah, they need to get wickets. They need 10 wickets. They've got 2. They need 8 more wickets, and it's kind of that time, now or never. I'd be having definitely having a gully in, which is exactly.
It's another great single from the Mount, just dropping into that offside, and Drysdale and Pamari, as I mentioned earlier, have done quite a bit of batting together the last couple of seasons, so on the same page to get through for a single. The Mount 34 for 2 after 5 overs, so we'll see 1 more over of the power play, and I keep saying it, Dave, I need to get a spinner in here, mate.
Absolutely. I just text.
Yeah, halfway there. 34 for 2 now, Dave. So Green will be looking to try and pry 1 more in the power play here at least. As we see Spencer, who is about to be bowling his 3rd over the spell. On Pamari's pads, and again just flicked on to the onside for an easy single. Pamari 6 runs off 8 deliveries. Drysdale 8 runs off 8 deliveries. Spencer 1 for 8 off 2.1 overs. Shadows are really coming across the ground now, so lights must be due on any second. Got a bit of a change of pace here from Spencer, just going across Drysdale. Beats the outside edge. Drysdale lets this one go through to the keeper. Here's probably a pretty good indication just to show everyone at home as the lights actually come on where the shadows are coming across. You see a beam of light, it's almost a glow come across the ground now the lights are on.
No, that's right. I thought you must have been trying to save money.
Spencer's full to Drysdale, patted back to him for no run. We've actually just got Dave Johnson. He had to nip away from it. I think he might have been the man turning on the lights.
Just back on deck. I just rang the boss and said, "Are you trying to save power, or what's happening here?" So they were on, but they just hadn't pushed the right button to make the lights actually come on. Generators were still going, but no, all's well.
Mount 35 for 2 here, 5.4 overs gone. 2 deliveries left in the power play. G. Gredden would just love one more here, try and really break open the innings.
Just waiting for a little bit of action behind the bowler's arm. A hot lap for some kids.
Spencer's in, he's full again, and Drysdale's driving back to Spencer again. Spencer really trying to run in for his team here, but Drysdale up to the challenge of keeping the straight ones out, which is probably the name of the game for the next couple of overs here.
There's absolutely no hurry at all for the Mount players. They got away to a flyer, and even though they've lost another wicket subsequently, they're getting enough singles and they're creating enough revolving of the strike. Left and right hander batting always makes it hard, and another single to Drysdale. Might have been off the pad actually, so
So I think I'm going to see a bowling change here from the northern end here at Bay Oval. Looks to be James Boyd, the leg spinner, coming into the attack. So we'll talk you through his field as we see it here. Looks to be a couple out on their leg side of Drysdale to start. They've got that man, he's deep just behind square. If I can try and get a good gauge here for you. There's that man, he's just behind square there, and another one about cow corner. Drysdale a notorious sweeper, so they'll try and set the field accordingly. Long on in place as well. And there's just that one man out at cover point there, so I'll tell you, he looks to be quite straight here to Drysdale. Not necessarily give him the sweep, but he does want to be targeting those stumps.
yeah, plenty of protection on the leg side as you mentioned. So Boyd's a leg spinner, so he'll turn it into Drysdale from outside off stump, and so they're bowling with a 5-4 onside field.
Drysdale taking middle stump to James Boyd. You see the reverse lap straight away from Drysdale. It's a good shot. He got a full toss, so pretty easy pickings really. Just be 2 runs to the total. So we see straight away from Drysdale reading the bowler. He knows he has to bowl straight with that field. There's gaps on that offside. Dave, he tries to access with a reverse lap.
Yeah, clever play by Drysdale. He has developed an ability to be a little bit inventive in T20 cricket.
So we see orthodox sweep this time. Didn't get right down, but still just gets a single down to that 45 fielder. So James Boyd might just take a couple to settle. Excuse me. Take a couple to settle with.
I better take over, Cole. May have to call for reinforcements up in the commentary box. You right, Cole?
Yeah, apologies here. I think you might have tried to slip something in my drink and poison me, but I'm still here. So the field to the right-hander is just the one out on the leg side, and he's just on square leg there. There'll be one on the offside as well. Both the long on, long off fielders are up. So they're challenging Ben Pamari to hit him over the top straight here, as we see a little kid running in between the sight screens here at Bay Oval.
They're very confused. They're now standing in front of the side screens.
I think there's a call from the Gredden boys to get this young fella out of the way, but it's proving tricky as we see Brandon, the wicketkeeper here, marshalling.
Interesting, in the first innings there were guys sitting in the Gredden boys and they didn't notice him. Either that or that was the reason that they batted so poorly.
He'll hit a boundary just behind square there. It's a fantastic shot from Pamari. He's a very good player of spin bowling, is Pamari, and that's a great example straight away to Boyd. Just Boyd not hitting the line he would have liked, and Pamari easy pickings behind square leg there. Still some chaos with the sight screen here, and Pamari's not amused at all.
I think it's some of the Gredden club members just down here, just below us. They're not that happy about it being asked to move.
A couple of stalwarts agreed in there. I think we don't need to mention names, but everyone probably knows who they are.
I think it might have been a deliberate ploy, Colin.
Nah, the Greedon boys are pretty good game. I don't think they'd have to resort to that, Dave. So we see change in the field here to Pomari. They're bringing that offside fielder up into the ring, and they're going to send a cow cornerback. It's Paddy Davenport who will do the work out in the deep there. So Boyd looking to continue that line, perhaps. This one's another sweep. It's a top edge, and it's got over the fielder. It's not going to quite make it to the boundary. Some fantastic work out on the ropes there, and Biddleheim.
I think it might have been Jared Tutty that got round and saved 2 runs. It was fantastic.
Biddleheim helped him there as well. So the sweep is the ploy here from the Mount batsman, not allowing the leg spinner Boyd to settle, and the Mount 45 for 2 after 6.4 here.
Just the way they're playing the leg spinner would suggest to me that there's not a lot of turn on the wicket.
Yeah, got a pretty good indication. That one just looked like it almost slid on, straightened at best. So it's tough work, and again, they've got to resort back to those changes of paces and angles, don't they? This one back of a length and punch to wide of mid-off, and there's a misfield. They're going to get back for 2. Drysdale's so quick. He was down the other end at a flash and gave himself the opportunity to come back for 2 off a slight misfield. So the Greedon team just being put under a little bit of pressure here.
The interesting thing, Kyle, that over is that there is bounce in this wicket. Like Ben Pomari stood tall and punched that one off the last ball, and it actually was good bounce. So it's not a slow wicket, and it's definitely not a low wicket. It's a good wicket for bowlers and batters, because the batsmen like the ball coming on and there'd be a bit of bounce so they can play their shots, and certainly that was a lovely shot, and he got a second run because of a misfield, but it was a nicely timed shot. First ball of the over, Drysdale digs out. Spencer's bowled well, 3.1 overs, 1 for 8.
He has bowled well. I'm actually quite surprised I didn't bring on Jared Tutty from that southern end. Just give him a blast, see what would happen. I do think this northern end's the right end for Boyd, just with the way that Easterly's going. But yeah, I think if Spencer was ever going to be successful, it would have been that new ball, and I think a change of bowling might have been the go there, but they continue with him anyway. This one's a bit more into the wicket on the thigh pad of Drysdale, and it's a shy at the bowler's end, but to no reward. Drysdale's so quick between the wickets again.
Another great call by Ben Pomari. It was kind of a half run there, but they turned it. Good communication turned it into a run.
Pomari takes strike, and they've got a short catcher just on the onside there, so looking for one to hold. It's flicked off the pad, doesn't carry to 45, and it's a dot ball as well, so perhaps Drysdale caught ball watching there. He's showed us a couple of examples of singles there in previous times, so what do you think they see here, Dave, to employ that short mid-on?
I just think it's a really good move. I just think they're trying to create something. I think it's good captaincy by the Greedon side. They're just trying to create something out of nothing. Ben's a good worker, Ben Pomari's a good worker of the ball, so he's looking to work space, and maybe they might just get one to hold up a little bit. So it's just another change, just to do something that might make them wonder whether there's a little bit of doubt into the batsman's mind, which might just create that doubt, which might create a wicket. They're desperate for wickets. Look, the reality is they're only 19 runs short, and they've got 11 overs to get 19 runs. So unless they get wickets, there's only one team Oh, he's
Or
just
that one's bowled him. He's gone back and it's just rushed through. Eat my words. Dan Spencer's got the breakthrough for Greedon. Ben Pamari's just lost his off stump there. It might have just clipped. Probably the wrong length to go back to. It was a pretty good length to be fair. And that wily Dan Spencer just got himself another.
that's exactly what they needed to do, and who knows whether the change of feel was enough to just get in Ben's mind, mean that he was just looking somewhere else to score. Another little twist in the game situation, and all of a sudden that 19 runs just looks a little bit further away.
As we see here. Sorry, as we see here, the workhorse Drysdale just getting a refreshment from 12th man Henry Conway. And he's got to probably be there at the end just to make sure there's no hiccups in the chase, Dave. Just see the boys through, keep going at the pace he's going. So, doing a brilliant job of running, rotating strike, and he's got to be there, I think, to play the leg spin, and that might be key here.
Yeah, correct.
Mount Maunganui 20 runs short of the 68 run total they require. Still 12 overs to go, so I don't think that'll be an issue run rate. 7 wickets in hand. At this point, Greed and Word 25 for 3, so.
Dom Crombie, the new player. And Dom's a very tidy bat. With a pretty good record in Premier Cricket with the bat.
So still have those 2 leg side fielders out for Drysdale. That mid-wicket and the deep man behind square as he nudges a single off the back foot.
And Greeton won't mind that. Getting Drysdale back off strike just means that now they get the opportunity to have a go at the new player.
That's right, turning away from the bat as well. We did indicate before there was a little turn, but you never know. If you get one to spin out of that rough, again, it is a used wicket. There is a little bit of rough there. You know, break this game wide open.
When we looked at the pitch before, Kyle, there was the little bit of rough is probably more of an issue for the left-hander facing, where Boyd's drop bowling into. So in reality, the danger zone is not quite so simple.
As the umpire signals a wide there. Yeah, that's right. You wonder if it's worth a go coming around the wicket to Drysdale, still being able to target those stumps, but also get something out of the rough.
Exactly.
So Crombie just nudges one to the onside. Good piece of fielding, but Crombie well home.
Good running again.
Really beautiful evening here as the lights just start to... bit of a glow on, isn't there? Just starting to take effect here, Dave. So you wonder if there's any dew settling out there, which will probably just aid the batting team at this point.
It's an interesting time to bat, isn't it? Like that, just before the lights really take control. And the Mount are just working through that process or that period at the moment. So it's an ideal time for the Greeton lads to try and strike.
Bit of a slip there from Drysdale, but 2 never really looked on, to be fair. So we see that pendant sweep again. Mount 52 for 3 at the moment. So we just tick over 8 p.m. here local time. James Boyd, the leg spinner for Greeton, really just trying to manufacture something here for his team, get them back in the hunt. Deliveries like that aren't going to help things though, as they concede the run and we'll have to bowl that one again. The required rate, only 1.3 at the moment. A little bit disappointing here from Boyd. He's already gone for 16 off his 10 deliveries. He was probably the key for me, Dave. Just a spinner, you know, gives it great air, can spin it when the wicket's suited to that, but hasn't quite been on song so far.
He just hasn't bowled enough consistent balls in the same spot.
Crombie works out to that cow corner fielder for 1. And that will finish the over. Mount Maunganui at 54 for 3. Again, a reminder that the target is 68. Only 9 overs gone. Crombie 2 off 3 deliveries, and Drysdale 14 off 20. Just being that anchor of the Mountaineers. He's been fantastic so far, Dave.
You realise that he actually hasn't had a lot of strike, Pete Drysdale, has he? But he is going at 70, so he's scored 14 off 20, but he's just nudging it round, working the ones, and just doing a really good job. As I said to you at the start of this innings, I imagine when he started the chase that he'd be looking at scoring 25 or something around that level, not out, and Mount to be home comfortably. Well, they've lost a couple of wickets along the line, lost 3 wickets, but he's ticking along, and he is 14 not out at the moment, and you'd imagine that he'll be there at the end. So change of bowler at the City end of the ground. It's Watkins bringing himself on, the Gretton skipper.
Oh, he's been given. Crombie just not interested in that single at all, and he sent Drysdale back. Chaos here. Drysdale would be disappointed with that. It did look like the single was on, but Crombie just not interested in taking it at all. Gretton very composed, and a little bit more of a concern here for Mount Maunganui being 4 down. Definitely not panic stations by all means, but you know that was probably the partnership they wanted to see at home with.
Yeah, disappointing for the Mount. There was a run there, and Crombie was a little bit guilty of ball watching, wasn't he? He was watching the fielder, and if he'd gone early, there was clearly a run. So Drysdale actually ran 2 nearly. He came all the way down, turned around, and nearly got all the way back. He probably didn't miss by much actually in the end. So 4 wickets down now, 54 for 4, and the new batsman is David Hancock, I think.
Yeah, we touched on him a little bit earlier when in the field. Obviously, he didn't bowl. He's on his way back from a bit of a sore back. He is an all-rounder, genuine all-rounder. Played for New Zealand under-19s, represented them at the last World Cup in South Africa. So he's got a bit about him, this boy. He can play, and so far for the Mount, he's had a pretty good season with the bat, and they've rewarded him by putting him up to 6. He can hit a long ball. So Crombie squeezes down on 1, and just another single worked behind point. So the Mount closing in on what could be one of the complete performances, but still a little bit of work to do here as the lights take effect.
And all of a sudden the field's completely changed. They've got a man in it. The guy that's short mid-wicket has come a little bit closer, a little bit tighter in.
Watkins into Hancock, who drives to mid-off for no run.
And basically bowling to a ring field now, so there's a man at short third man, cover point, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, square leg and 45, and they're looking to squeeze, and it's working at the moment, but is it too little too late? Another dot ball as Watkins comes in, and Hancock tries to work it but finds the player at short mid wicket, Henry, and was unable to score any runs.
Back of length, and Hancock pulls it away. It's racing to the rope. That'll be 4. Save your legs, Dave Hancock. Just got a touch of length there, Dave. Wasn't too short, but he got it up and over square leg, and it's raced away.
It was a good shot, a good cricket shot. Just shows you that there's a bit of bounce in this wicket, just back of a length, and it was a great shot.
That'll be good for the confidence and the nerves as well. Just
Hancock, a young lad who's confident, no doubt. He's a good cricketer. His dad, Kim, played for Northern Districts a number of years back as a quick bowler.
That'll be the end of the over. Mount Maunganui 59 for 4, so just 9 runs to win now. 10 overs to do it, 6 wickets in hand. At this point, Greedon with 33 for 2, so it shows just the contrast in innings. Obviously, the Mount a couple more down, but perhaps a little bit more aggressive. Still not playing out of their boots, but
There's been, the moment they hit the first boundary, there was more boundaries than Greeton scored, so number of boundaries scored, including a 5 from a 4 overthrows, so Hancock looks useful. As I said, his father Kim was from Matamata and played for Northern Districts, and then actually came and played at the Mount for a couple of years, I think. So
Ranaraja.
Son David's followed in his footsteps. Yeah. So another change, another spinner coming into the attack, which I think is a good move. Boyd couldn't quite get it right, so it's time to give another guy a go, and so I got the off spinner Ranaraja now.
Yeah, just a good honest finger spinner here is Ranaraja. Does a good job from Greedon. Probably the 5th or 6th bowler week to week, but a very serviceable off spin.
So once again, Greeton lads have gone for an attacking field.
Got that short, wide cover in place. As Ranaraja drops short first ball, it's just one bounce 4 out to the mid-wicket boundary. Not the most ideal of starts for Ranaraja. Put under pressure nice and early from Dave Hancock. Sorry, correction, Crombie, who struck that one.
And Greeton are doing the right thing here. They're all-out attack. And to be honest, the one guy that's back there might as well have him in as well. It's a pretty unusual field for T20, isn't it? But you've got to have a go. You're not going to no good waiting and wondering about the answers later on.
Only 5 to win here as the wicketkeeper marshals the troops, but you just get the feeling it's too little too late here, unfortunately, for the Greedon side. Probably just didn't have enough runs to bowl at, Dave. Simple as that.
Yeah, you can't win too many games in T20 when you only score 67. But fair play to Greeton, they haven't given up and they've continued to attack, and they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I've been impressed by the captaincy of Watkins. Actually, it'd be very easy just to let the game flow and just let them Mount hit the winning runs. But he's still marshalling the troops around, and I thought his plans and catching fielders have been pretty well placed. As Hancock drives through the extra cover region, might get a couple here. It's a quick outfit here at Bay Oval, so yeah, it'll be just the 2.
Nice shot there, just pushed forward and drove through the line of the ball. Not a lot of turn, but enough pace on the wicket to be able to push for 2. Well fielded by Boyd, I think it was.
2 to win here. It's a big top edge. I think Greedon are going to claim themselves one more. No, it's dropped, and there'll be the winning runs for the Mount. And there's a big round of applause around the ground as the winning runs are hit for the Mount. Hancock and Crombie, the 2 young pups at the crease to get it done for the Mount Maunganui cricket side. And there's 2 sides of sport here. Greedon boys will be disappointed with the way they played and they came at it today, but the Mount boys will feel like they put in a clinical effort and they'll be happy with that win.
Yeah, reflecting on the innings, it was, as I say, you can't score 68 and expect to win too many T20 games. You've got to have everything go your way. So full marks to both teams for the way the game was played. Full marks especially to the Mount for the way they bowled. I think look at the figures and you see Craig Baldry and Dale Swan both got 3 wickets each. But it was an all-round performance. The medium pacers bowled great lines. They challenged them, the Greeton batsmen, and they really didn't give them anything. And so therefore, if you don't give any opportunities for them to score, teams will struggle. And then Baldry and Swan bowled outstandingly well through the middle stages, and right from the time they were 68 or 67 all out, it was pretty much one-way traffic, wasn't it?
That's right. I think, yeah, the Mount slow bowlers fantastic through the middle there. Probably a big reason why Greeton were restricted and put under pressure for long periods of time in this game, and sometimes it's as simple as that. If you put under pressure for long enough, you crumble.
You do. And So that's the end of the T20 final for Plenty Cricket. Congratulations to both teams who made their way to the final. Dominant performance from the Mount, and back-to-back champions, Kyle. T20 champions.
This is actually the Mount's fourth successive title, so
4 in a row. That's fantastic effort and well deserved, and clearly they were the better team on the day, so congratulations to them. Thanks to all those listeners out around the world, wherever you might be. Hope things are going well for you. Thanks for being part of the commentary and following us. We hope you enjoyed the commentary. Thanks, Kyle, for your contribution. Thanks to all those involved, and we'll look forward to being with you again in the future.